He welcomed an evil prince to the White House. He welcomed the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, the only leader who treats reporters worse than he does, to a big, lavish dinner in his honor. Mohammed bin Salman, this is a guy who gave a green light to the brutal murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a columnist.
That's political violence. The president, when he says these things, there are consequences. And by the way, I mean, isn't this the guy 2 months ago that said, we've got to stop this political violence issue? He didn't even make it to Thanksgiving.
It's almost like he doesn't mean anything he says. It's almost as if he's a hypocrite in some ways.
Trump strutted and loaded with confidence, ready to charm his way through the spotlight, at least in his mind. But Jimmy Kimmel and Senator Mark had zero interest in playing along. Every gesture, every boast, every dramatic pause instantly flipped into a spectacle of roaring laughter. What started as politics dissolved into a full-scale carnival of chaos and unfiltered absurdity. Can Trump claw his way back from a comedic beatdown this brutal? Or is this the moment the universe finally cashes in its long-overdue receipt?
Almost like he doesn't mean anything he says. It's almost as if he's a hypocrite in some ways.
I mean, you can't keep track of this guy and what he says. And I'll tell you this, though. I'm not backing down. I mean, we said something very simple. Members of the military need to follow the law. We wanted to say that we have their backs.
Trump stepped into the spotlight with the kind of swagger only a man convinced the universe takes. Notes on his every breath could pull off. His gestures were oversized, his posture inflated like he was personally shouldering the weight of history. Jimmy Kimmel locked on immediately, turning each dramatic flourish into a comedic explosion so precise and ridiculous it could have triggered its own Richter scale reading.
As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
That's right. How dare you embarrass a man who had a columnist sawed into pieces? Things happen. Things happen. This is not an episode of The Sopranos. You're the president of the...
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. Meanwhile, Senator Mark watched from the sidelines, sharpening every overblown claim and dramatic flourish Trump threw into the spotlight. His commentary sliced straight through Trump's inflated bravado, turning each moment of self-promotion into a vivid showcase of absurdity. Trump's attempt to project authority collapsed almost instantly under the weight of razor-sharp humor, and Mark's wit cut through the tension with the precision of a scalpel.
You know, we cannot be fired, not by the president, just by our constituents in an election. So instead, he's going to try to intimidate us because he disagrees or he didn't like what we said. What I think the president should have done is he should have watched the video, he should have listened to the video and listened to the message, and what I think any other president would have done is they would have retweeted that video and said...
Trump delivered his announcements with the gravity of a man revealing long-lost ancient secrets, but to the audience, it landed as a spectacle soaked in overconfidence. Kimmel seized every exaggerated motion, flipping Trump's gestures into full-blown slapstick choreography. The more Trump inflated his own importance, the louder the comedic blast became until the entire room shook with laughter at the massive gap between what he intended and what actually unfolded.
Hey, you just think about how cruel a person has to be to cut off food to 42 million people. It's the kind of thing that makes you go, oh, no wonder his kids are like that. The guy who never missed a Happy Meal in his life is deciding who gets to eat in this country. So after a federal court ordered them to do it, the Trump administration agreed to pay half the benefits, which is not enough, so we are going to have to help.
Mark's sharp eye caught every inconsistency, spotlighting the exact moments where Trump's confidence crashed headfirst into pure absurdity. What Trump intended as grandeur instantly transformed into oversized canvases for committee-ish word, becoming a brushstroke of unintentional hilarity. His dramatic pauses, sudden pivots, and forced flair were all mined for absolute comedic gold. And as the roast intensified, every new exaggeration stacked higher, pushing the spectacle into even more outrageous, ridiculous territory.
The investigation, because of what Donald Trump said, from what I can tell, and I don't know Pete Hegseth well. I sit on the committee that ultimately had to confirm him, so I know a little bit about his background. He's totally unqualified.
Well, come on, he was.
Nothing
Hold on.
against
He was a weekend host at Fox and Friends.
Nothing
In fairness.
against journalists. They play a very important role in our society, but he's not qualified for this job. And from what I can tell and talking to some of my Republican colleagues, I mean, he just wants to please the president.
Obviously, yes.
And this is what he can do this week. He can go after me under the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Kimmel zeroed in on Trump's obsession with showmanship, treating every hand-wave, head tilt, and dramatic pause like raw material for full-scale satire. Trump's gestures morphed into theatrical props, each one more over the top than the last. His entrances felt like soap opera reveals, waiting for dramatic music. And Kimmel stretched the absurdity until it towered over the moment. Every blink, every breath became a chance for laughter. Mark didn't spare him either. With surgical precision, he spotlighted Trump's inflated sense of consequence, slicing through the bravado and exposing the spectacle beneath. Trump's love for theatrics peaked in every public appearance, as if the cameras existed solely to applaud his brilliance. Kimmel magnified each exaggerated flourish, turning grand declarations into full-blown comedic productions. Every pose was dissected, inflated, and rebuilt into a vivid storyline of absurdity. Trump's aura of self-importance crashed head-on with reality, creating a constant, evolving punchline that grew funnier with every second.
It's not like Trump doesn't care about people. I mean, he has a lot of empathy. He's feeling especially bad right now for the family of the newly decrowned Jeffrey Epstein pal, the now former Prince Andrew.
Prince Andrew in the UK has had his royal titles stripped away because of the Epstein scandal. I know you're close to the royal family there. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I feel very badly. I mean, it's a terrible thing that's happened to the family. That's been a tragic situation. And it's too bad. I mean, I feel badly for the family.
That family he feels bad for. The ones losing their food stamps, they're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. This is like Bill Cosby feeling bad for R. Kelly.
Mark followed up with a masterclass in sarcasm, twisting Trump's attempts at authority into full-blown caricatures of misplaced grandeur. Every confident stride and every emphatic gesture became fuel for exaggeration. Mark exposed the gulf between Trump's intentions and the chaotic execution, turning each display into a lesson in pure comedic absurdity. And as Trump's momentum swelled, so did the scale of the roast, reaching heights worthy of theatrical legend. The exaggeration was relentless, spotlighting the outrageous lengths Trump went to inflate even the most ordinary actions. Every pause, every blink, every tiny adjustment of posture became magnified in the unfolding narrative. His effort to project command ended up detonating into waves of laughter that rippled through the room. Mark's commentary took even the smallest inconsistency and ballooned it into a monumental comedic moment, pushing the spectacle to its absolute peak.
And he's trying to get some fear out there. And fear can be contagious. But what also can be contagious is courage and patriotism. And that's the reason why.
Because the overall effect is that people are now a little more careful before they speak out. People are worried about speaking out. People don't want to say things that they need to be saying, and that's flat out un-American, isn't it?
It's how democracies die. It is right out of the playbook. You know, the playbook of authoritarianism, that's what they do. They try to suppress speech.
Trump dialed up his self-promotion, moving with the confidence of a man convinced the fate of history hinged on his gestures. Every announcement, every proclamation felt like a headline ripped from an alternate universe. Kimmel pounced on each exaggeration, inflating Trump's grandiosity into full-scale satire. The harder Trump reached for gravitas, the harder the punchline hit, leaving a trail of comedic debris behind him. Mark followed by dissecting the subtleties of Trump's expressions with precision. A narrowed eye, a raised brow, a twitch of the lip, each tiny movement became a priceless fragment of visual comedy. Mark's commentary transformed these micro-expressions into essential building blocks of an absurdly elaborate performance, ensuring every nuance fed directly into the spiraling hilarity. Every gesture turned into a target. Every motion became a setup for another eruption of comedy. And with Kimmel's relentless energy pushing the spectacle to its limits, reality and absurdity collided in an explosive unforgettable crescendo.
He did not get asked about is the now infamous Epstein birthday letter that was released last month by the House Oversight Committee. Trump is suing the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion over this letter, which our doodler-in-chief denies he had anything to do with.
You signed Jeffrey Epstein birthday letter.
It's not my signature, and it's not the way I speak. And anybody that's covered me for a long time, no, that's not my language. It's nonsense.
It's an interesting statement. It's not the way I speak, and anybody that's covered me for a long time knows that's not my language. Now, we've been covering Donald Trump for what feels like a very, very long time. And in the interest of fairness, we decided to do a bit of research.
Mark locked onto Trump's pacing, pinpointing the exact moments where overconfidence collided with clumsy execution. Movements meant to project authority instead morphed into unintentional visual gags. Once filtered through Mark's razor-sharp commentary, the fusion of physical exaggeration and precise analysis turned the roast into a layered comedic spectacle. Viewers watched a surreal collision of drama and absurdity play out in real time. Trump tried to elevate his achievements with sweeping motions and grand gestures it crafted to impress, each unintentionally fueling the humor. With every exaggerated flourish, the comedy built like a rising tide. Mark then honed in on the overconfidence behind Trump's declarations. Twisting his self-assured proclamations into pure satire, every attempt to impress became fresh comedic fuel as missteps and overreaches were magnified for maximum effect. Mark's precision ensured no detail escaped scrutiny, constructing a roast that was both intricately crafted and devastatingly funny.
Everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That soldiers, they're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead.
What I hear there from Donald Trump are the words of a coward, a man who would not serve in the U.S. military, makes up some excuse about, bone spurs, got out of serving in Vietnam. And he clearly doesn't understand us. He doesn't understand members of our society who served in the military. I spent 25 years in the United States Navy. I think the concept of putting something before self is totally foreign.
Trump continued to escalate, performing as if every statement were destined to echo through history. Each gesture, each puffed-up proclamation was delivered with the air of monumental importance. Kimmel pounced instantly, turning every dramatic flourish into visual comedy that seemed to defy reality itself. The absurdity stacked higher and higher, forming an unbroken chain of satirical spectacle that left the audience simultaneously stunned and in stitches. Mark layered his observations on top, dissecting timing, expression, and exaggerated delivery with surgical precision. Every misstep, every overreach became a visual joke. Each attempt to assert authority was reframed as absurdity, creating a complex, multifaceted roast that unfolded in real time. The combination of insight and exaggeration made the humor relentless, each joke building on the last to create a wave of hilarity that felt unstoppable. Kimmel then turned his attention to Trump's entrances and exits, treating them as theatrical events worthy of an epic stage production. Every step onto the stage, every carefully timed wave became a visual punchline. Trump's exaggerated confidence fueled the comedy at every turn. His posture, his glances, even his attempts at gravitas were mined for humor. Each motion contributed to a crescendo of laughter, a carefully layered comedic symphony orchestrated by Kimmel and Mark. Throughout the performance, Kimmel and Mark maintained relentless precision. They dissected every dramatic moment, every overconfident flourish, and every gesture intended to convey. Nothing escaped their attention. Each overblown movement, each proud glance became material for a layered comedic masterpiece. Kimmel's timing amplified every moment, letting each absurd action land perfectly while keeping the audience on a continuous high of laughter. Trump's energy, which he believed would inspire awe, instead became fuel for relentless satire. The more he inflated himself, the more material he provided, turning his performance into an endless playground for comedy. In the final moments, the president stood enmeshed in his own spectacle, while Kimmel and Mark transformed every ounce of dramatic flair into a tidal wave of hilarity. Every gesture, every statement, every flourish merged into a grand tapestry of absurdity alive. Unfolding masterpiece where reality and comedy collided with explosive effect.